All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I want to cover four stocks today. I'm going to look at Newegg. I want to talk about Indo and HUSA, and then I want to give SOFI just a little bit of love and at least cover it a little bit today. Talked about that yesterday and very much did the job that we were looking for, right? So a lot to talk about this one. I want to start with the market, and before I get into the the indices themselves, right? We got to talk about this. So tomorrow is the FOMC meeting. All right, in less than 24 hours, Powell is gonna get on the microphone, right, and he's gonna do his thing. All right. So where are we at? Look, we have four calls, right, between tomorrow, September, October, and December. We have four calls the rest of the year. Okay. And look, this is a free site. You can see I'm not even logged in. I've never given them my email address. This seems to be a pretty consistent site, and their probabilities are actually really clean. So we are pretty much expecting no change at all. No one is expecting him to drop the rates. No one's expecting at all to do a hike. All right. What really is going to matter is the guidance for the rest of the year. September, as of today, is a 2-to-1 reduction, right? That's more than 50%. Obviously, you can see it's 66, right? So that's a real heavy rate cut right there, and it's critical. It is critical that after Powell is done talking, his guidance makes this number stay, maybe even makes this number go up. All right, that's really what we are looking for. All right, as we go into October, it's actually a higher probability, and they're actually even looking at multiple deeper cuts potentially, right? So, and then a big 94% at the end. So ultimately, we need these to hold at the high numbers that they're at. I'd love September to start creeping into 75% instead of this 66. But hey, 2-to-1 ain't bad. 3-to-1's even better, right? But that's what we're looking for tomorrow. It's not about the rate cut. It shouldn't happen tomorrow. It's the guidance the man gives. And hey, I'm not I Powell is good at giving guidance, all right? And I know a lot of people hate him. I know a lot of people love him. I'm here just the guy gives good guidance, and there's a lot of value in that. You know what I mean? So this is going to be the most important thing going into tomorrow, and as you can see, it's a little less than 22 hours away. I think it's normally around 11:30 my time. So around 2:30 Eastern. Around 2 o'clock, we should get the official no rate cut headlines, and then around 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, excuse me, Powell should get on the microphone and start doing his thing. Okay, so that's what we're looking for tomorrow. From there, look, it was an ugly day today. It wasn't a crazy day today, but yeah, this is the first red candle in a good while, and I mean, you can say basically since the middle of July, right? So it's been a nice 2 weeks, and so far we're still over the moving averages. Nothing to get crazy worried about. I think the interesting thing is this single red candle really brought the RSI down, and in a lot of ways that's a good thing. We were talking about how high the RSI was, right? This thing was at an 82 yesterday, and then the single candle right here brings us to a 72. You know what I mean? So, I don't know the math behind these lines, but that's not bad in my head, because hey, even if we come down one more red day tomorrow, we could still hold the 8 moving average, very much reset the RSI to a nice healthy number, and then hopefully do a nice technical bounce from there, right? As we let's look at NASDAQ next, because these are yeah, look, NASDAQ again, big red candle. This thing was a high 87. All of a sudden, we're down to a 77. That's not too shabby, right? I think there's a decent chance maybe this will like kiss just under the 8 moving average. But again, we need confirmation. We still have the 20 right behind us, right? I'm not screaming panic yet, but obviously it's a little bit funky out there, and I mentioned that on yesterday's video. And then on the Dow Jones, back-to-back red days here. And again, this is pretty, yeah, look, again, I think this is the first just unison red day across the indices. It's never a good thing, right? But we're not here to super freak out. And I think more than anything, we're probably all just waiting to see what Powell does and then kind of react from there, right? So I think ultimately, and I'm just going to kind of flash it one more time, If this time tomorrow people are worried about what Powell said, and if you come to the CME group website and all of a sudden you see this percentage down to like 40% or something like that, I think that's when the real worry would come. Otherwise, I think if Powell does what everyone's kind of hoping Powell does, things should stabilize. And like I said, I mean, in only a single red candle, we just went from a very, very unhealthy RSI to actually a relatively good one, right? And still with a little bit of room to even go down just a little bit lower on the S&P 500 and still hold the 8 moving average and maybe even take that to a good 60 or even like a high 50 RSI, right? So definitely funky, definitely keeping the message from yesterday. The indices have been a little bit funky, but overall, nothing too crazy. From there, let's just get into the ticker opening thoughts. And I mean, this is a really good candle right here, right? I know you're looking at this thing saying it already ran 44%. I know you're looking at this thing and saying, man, it basically went from 10 bucks to 50 plus bucks. It 5x'd in like a 2-month window. How can you be thinking that there's more going on? I'll be honest with you, it was one of the last things I said on the Discord right here. It feels like there's a legit shot at 84. And I'll talk about that right now. But yeah, there's things to like here. That's a very nice reset of a crazy 91 RSI down to a 68. It's been really nice sustained volume. I mean, all the things I normally talk about, right? So there's a lot to like, and I'll draw some horizontal support and resistance lines. Indo. So I was not looking at this today, and all of a sudden in the Discord, we got a little message, and basically the message came as this volume pop. Was that the volume pop? No, I don't think so. I think it was, maybe it was. Maybe it was. Regardless, this is there's some interesting things going on in oil, is what it seems like, and the two main things really were, this was the first one. There was a pop in crude oil, and then it sounds like something happened in Alberta, Canada, where there was a fire. There's a wildfire, and it counts for 80% of the country's output. Hopefully everyone's safe. There's actually a lot of Canadians in the chart reader family. I say it right here. So hopefully the fires are, in a very, secluded place, and hopefully no one's getting hurt and all that stuff. But yeah, some interesting things are happening with oil, and you can see the attempt right here on Indo. It is the exact same attempt on HUSA. It basically is an attempt to break the cluster of moving averages, the attempt to break all 5 and run, right? Same thing we just talked about on Newegg, right? So a lot of green, red, nothing here. A lot of green, red, nothing here. We just need a little bit more. And I mean, there's some silly lines up there, right? Don't be thinking $5 and $7 just yet. This is a $3 stock, right? So we'll put some realistic thoughts and targets out there. But yeah, there's a lot to like if oil does pick up right here. And then after these two, I at least really quickly want to give a little bit of love to SOFI. I mean, look at what happened today, right? We gap up, we run to that line that we drew up there on yesterday's video. We're basically living at the golden line right now, right? I for sure see this drop after hours. You know me, I'm not going to put too much emphasis on that. I'll talk about that a little bit, but this is the earnings we wanted. And I mean, if you didn't see it, I know we have it in the earnings headquarters. I know we talked about it in the room. Where's today? You would think I would prep this stuff. My apologies. Come on, baby. I should have just gone into the room. We just talked about it. Horrible. I'll find it when I get into the discussions. But yeah, the earnings were amazing on SOFI today. They really were. They beat just about everything, and that's exactly what we want. And we'll talk about some technical shortly. But a lot to like right here. I said I was going to make a good, efficient video, and I'm already 9 minutes at the opening thoughts. My goodness. Before we do go any further, though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There's none here, but I'll draw some horizontal support and resistance lines manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So let's get into Newegg, and my goodness, you hear me say it all the time. When you have some good channels, when you have good spacing between moving averages, there's nice things you can take advantage of, right? You break the 20, you go to the 50, you break the 50, you go to the 100, you break the 100, you go to the 200, and then you break all five and you fly, and my goodness, this thing has flown, all right? I know it looks crazy to see something already 5x. I know it looks crazy to see something that just ran on a single day 44%. And you look at this and you think to yourself, I think there's still another 50% to be made here. And that's basically what I did say on the Discord. My line was roughly 84. And just look, as I zoom out, this is basically the entire history, right? I mean, the stock's been around, I guess, since 2010. It has been around. I just can't see it all on the daily. Okay, that makes sense. There is more out here. Okay, but look, what I'm basically seeing, and I'm going to do this on the weekly. All right, what we're basically living down here, right? You can see all these little bottoms. That's give or take a couple pennies away from where we are, right? And I can probably lower it to the lower green one that's on this day, and it'll probably be closer. But you know we're not here for perfect, right? But we're basically looking for a battle at $60, right? My line is at 59.97, right? And I'm saying that's not a perfect line, but if this gets over $60, there's nothing, and then all of a sudden a real nice red, green, red. Like there's nothing from there to there until, if I had to guess, like roughly right there. That's about 50% of that. That's almost yeah, no, I like that line. Look, that line is 86, basically 87. I'd said 84, give or take. That's what I'm looking for, right? That's on the weekly, right? When we look at that view on the daily, I mean, this is it's just boom, right? Like there's a lot of fast up and down right there, a whole mess of nothing, a quick red, and then since 2022, for a full 3 years, we've never been in that channel right there. That is a nice channel. That's as nice as these little channels down here were, right? So you get over 60, some good things will happen. What I like about today is we're over the biggest candle to the left. We have a real nice divergence, a green going up and diverging up against the red. We see the same divergence on the RSI, green going up, still a very healthy 68. And I talked about the volume. That's been a nice little growth right there. And we're starting to get over that 50-day line a little more consistently. We did it yesterday. We did it today. Hopefully we can improve from that little run right there. You know what I mean? But just last thing, this is bouncing on the 8 moving average like a champion, right? Like that's as beautiful as it gets. Truth be told, I had a friend give me a text and say, hey, I'm really liking Newegg around 14. I said, you know what? I don't trust this stock. Sometimes that bites you in the butt. You know what I mean? There are stocks that I've just been burned on. This is one of them. I was chasing some memes before I really knew what strategy meant and this and that. You know what I mean? And I wish I put my past history behind me and rode this. But hey, nonetheless, it looks like it's ready for another one, especially if it gets over that 60 line. The last thing I'm going to talk about. Look, I know it's easy to just look at the post-market drop and just see the drop. What I'm actually focusing on is wow, there's like a technical word for it. I don't know what it is, but the bid and the ask is really wide. The spread, I think they call it the spread. I might be wrong, but it's normally a few cent. Like, let's just look at SOFI real quick. After hours is 22.24, 22.20. It's a penny different, right? Indo is far less consistent, and you can see that's about an 8-cent spread, right? 310, 302. When we look at Newegg, it's more than a buck. It was like 2 something at one point, right? I'm not a big fan when the spread, when the bid and the ask spacing is that wide, all right? Um, I don't really have like an educated thought behind it. I really don't, but that bugs me. It does. I don't know if you have better thoughts and you can share it and you can put some like educated words. I can't get them out of my mind right now, but yeah, that should be a lot tighter, and that's just annoying in my head. But look, again, I say it all the time. I'm pretty much ignoring that. Look, if you go up 44% on a single day, generally after hours you tank, right? You drop like 25, 30% real quick, right? This thing's only dropping a little bit, and to me, I'm going to call that little bit insignificant. It's not a lot, a little bit, right? Like, I'm not pretending it's small, but also, if you look at the high side of the bid, it's actually not as bad, right? I think the it basically takes an average in between the two, and it's actually, yeah, it's about an average in between the two, right? So yeah, I spent too much time on that. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Oh, last thing I'll say. This thing is very bullish, even if it goes as low as 47.70. That's the lowest I'll be real comfortable at. Ideally, it never goes below this candle, and it never goes below like 49.25. That's where it actually is. But yeah, I'm okay as low as like 48. I think that's a good place to call it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. I'm going to take a look at Indo and HUSA together because they are basically the exact same attack, all right? When there's too many lines too close together, it gets a little harder. We like good spacing between the lines. That's just really tight, right? Like it's only a couple pennies, only a couple pennies, only a couple pennies. Not a good like double-digit percent thing that we can attack, right? HUSA even tighter, right? These three lines are basically living right exactly on each other, right? What does happen is the lines, as they get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, they eventually will just throw the stock either up or down. I often call it a tornado because it's just this violent throw that's almost random and like not even up to the stock at times, all right? That's in a lot of ways what's happening with both of these. The lines are getting so tight, and it's been so tight for just weeks on weeks and months, right? Like something's gonna happen. There's a potential that maybe there's some real news pushing it, all right? There are wildfires in the main oil production region that accounts for 80% of Canada. That's a pretty big headline, right? Obviously, we're humans, and I'm telling you, I hope everything's okay and can't like, we're people. I don't want anyone to get hurt, right? But yo, this is the ugly side of trading, and if 80% of the region's output is on pause, oh man, that's gonna do some crazy things to crude oil. And if crude oil starts to go up, all of a sudden these silly little oil tickers, they're going to go up too, right? So there's a decent combo of technical maybe and actually a little sprinkle of news, and that's the combo we like, right? We're not here saying technicals are better than fundamentals or this or that. Nah, let them mix together, let them both say good things, and then boom boom boom, right? So that's basically what we're looking for. If this can escape, what's this line? That is 323. Oh, and that makes sense because I think I said 325 in the Discord. If this gets over $3.25, it's going to run to this 4 line. And then you can see the line above that. So I would immediately target that. I'm not going to draw the, yeah, 325. Just keep that in your back pocket. With HUSA, excuse me, sorry. I think it's got to be the bottom of this, right? What do we open at? 1188. We're looking for 1188 on HUSA. If we can get that, we're probably going to run to 15. 15, give or take, is 50% of that, and it's almost actually the top of that, right? So that's a lovely double digit right there, all right? So that's the move. Otherwise, we're basically going to come back into the lines. Maybe this will drop into like the 1070 range, and then maybe Indo will drop to 295 range. give or take if they don't do the continuation tomorrow. All right. But overall, the goal really is just break the lines and fly. And let's see what happens with this oil headline that's floating around right now. Keep an eye on crude oil as well. I think, and I even said, like, I did a little bit of research myself, and it did look like there were some headlines about crude oil. Look, I'll be honest with you. When I think oil, I normally think war. And I didn't see any crazy, like, war headlines, right? So, the crude oil thing does make sense. And again, it's unfortunate that it's because of a fire, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's end it with SOFI. I'm going to do this a lot better because we were talking about beat. Just look at all those green beats right there. And let's take a look at it. This is what we are looking at. This is an amazing, let me say it one more time. This is an amazing earnings recap. You are beating every single thing. You beat your EPS, you beat your earnings per share by 33%, right? You beat the estimate by 2 cents. It was supposed to be 6 cents. That's 33% of the estimate that you were over on. That's monster right there, right? Every single thing says beat. Every single thing says raised. There are no yellows or reds. It is just green light and hit the gas, right? I think we easily see that on today, right? We were starting to stall. We actually never were able to get over that golden line except for that momentary wick right there, right? Like we were not over this line at all, and all of a sudden we gap up and we open right here at 23 and change. We run a few cents over the line we drew yesterday, and we are now closed 2 cents over that line. Look, this is beautiful. All right, I know this looks like an uncertain doji, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm not the biggest fan of these green candles when we open up here at 23 but we close down here at 22.40. Look, this is beautiful because we know it was driven off of some actual earnings love. Really, what's going on, and we talked about at the beginning, right? We've got FOMC in less than 24 hours. We've got 3 indices that are a little bit on the high indicator side and they need to cool off a little bit. And we actually even said on the last video yesterday, earnings takes a while before it says the truth. Earnings takes a while before it says the truth. Earnings was good. We gap up and drop. It takes a bit before we go, right? So, hey, maybe it's going to happen for a third time. We gap up for sure and we see it, but we might end up going flat a little bit before we go up. As long as we're over the golden line, you know for sure it's bullish and great. Really, as long as we can hold 21, there's basically nothing to worry about here, all right? So, and then what's this line? I even think it might be hard for it to go below 21.40 if I had to guess. But as long as this holds 21, I very much like it. And look at that volume, right? Like, I'm going to just zoom back real quick. Let's just zoom back real quick. This was the best day since this earnings right here. Since this earnings in January 24. That's not too shabby right there, right? That's basically most of a year and a half ago, right? So a lot to like on this. I know it's not the best of candles, but it's the earnings we needed. It's the over the golden line that we wanted. Let's just wait for the market to calm down. The rest should just be an all-time high love right there. SOFI, this is beautiful. This is just beautiful. That's all I can say. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.